No.
We've been muted the whole time. All right, cool. I totally forgot to unmute the whole thing. That's literally the first time I've ever done that. All right, we're starting the show from scratch. Here we go.
Note to self later on, editor's notes. Start here. 7:37.
7:37 or 8:04 on my watch.
Okay, yeah, whatever.
Holy unexpected relatives. This is Flight Check Season 2, Episode 14. And after a little bit of a kerfuffle to start the show, we are...
Fine, banger intro.
Banger intro. We are live, ready to discuss big org announcements, FlyQuest dropping from all kinds of playoffs, Kadoran getting into the weekend for Genesis, the big Smash tournament, and we've got a lot to talk about in a short amount of time and only two hosts to cover it all. So with that, my name, as always, is Sandy Toes, back once again with, and I Googled it, that's what you guys didn't hear me doing.
I was going to say, they missed out on that whole little thing. Of
when I muffed up the intro. The inveritable, meaning not false, not imaginary, the inveritable Nox War. Nox, how did your playoff predictions go this weekend? Because I gotta be honest, I unfortunately did pretty well.
Yeah, you did do pretty well. I on the other hand had a little too much faith in Golden Guardians and I was a little too down bad on Cloud9. I did. I thought it would be like a 3-1 in favor of Golden Guardians or something or not 3-1. Sorry, a 3-2 in favor of Golden Guardians. I thought it would be close or something, but nope. 3-0 for Cloud9. It is what it is. But
it is what it is.
I still got my 2 points from the EG Fly series, and that kind of hurts too, but in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little bit less faith in the boys than you did. I did call the 3-0 for EG. If I had reversed the series scores on my prediction, because I called 3-1 Cloud9 and 3-0 EG, I would have nailed it. I think I would have been way up there in terms of playoff prediction points.
You would have been the only 4.
You know, what could have been. What could have been. Curly, unfortunately, not on the show tonight. He is working, but he'll be back next week. We should have a 3-man show next week. But tonight, we'll just be focusing on, first of all, there was a big org announcement 2 hours ago. So for once, they are announcing news before we start the show instead of immediately after. So that's very nice for us. So we'll be talking about that. We'll hit Academy finishing top 6 in Proving Grounds, LCS dropping out in the first round, and then, of course, Kadoran. I have a little bit of a cough still. It's just lingering in my throat. So, apologies for that. I'll try to mute where I can. But let's start with this amateur announcement. So I'm going to go pull up the tweet right now.
Just going to work our way up, basically.
Yeah, we're going to work our way from bottom to top. So, 6 p.m. Eastern Time, FlyQuest. We always encourage everyone to hashtag showcase greatness, and with our FlyQuest Talent Combine, you can show us just that. Let's see what you got on the Rift. And it looks like the dates are May 4th to May 11th. You have to be Masters Plus, and there's a form and a deadline to apply. Then there's a later tweet that they will not be needing any casters for this event, but thanks for offering your work and help. Unfortunate. So, this is something that we've kind of been talking about for a while. You know, hey, is there space to get an amateur team spun up? How much would it help the org? You know, all these kinds of questions. I feel like we did... I really want to say when we interviewed Nick back in December that we had a question along these lines of, like, is there space for an amateur team? And I don't remember if that question occurred. Maybe I'm just creating it in my head.
It's something we talked about, but I don't think it was something we ever actually asked. Like, it was on our question roster list, but we never actually physically asked it.
Yeah. So, But clearly, there is space for it now. Now, I want to see if you feel similarly here, because the way I'm reading this announcement, it's not necessarily, hey, we're starting an amateur team.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much how I took it.
And I just want
scouting.
I want people to be very clear about this. Is that this is not the org saying, hey, we're starting an amateur team. Apply. We're going to hold tryouts, things like that. This is a combine. This is a scouting combine. There's no guarantee. Generally, you would expect a scouting combine to be followed by, all right, we signed these 5 players that we saw at the combine. But there's no guarantee that there will actually be a team. I don't think that's actually said anywhere. I think Nick later tweeted, he said, excited to add this to our annual catalog for our League of Legends program. Proud of Loyota for pushing and leading this. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have. And then Brendan Loyota also says, excited to announce our first scouting combine. Always wanted to host things like this, and it starts here. Can't wait to see who all applies. So, this is not the announcement of an amateur roster. This is merely the announcement of a potential amateur roster.
I was going to say, yeah, so look to 2023, by all means. Like, who knows? Because, I mean, amateur rosters take resources.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they need resources to happen and, like, function and work and whatnot, right? And so it's not something I predict happening in summer, but given 8 months from now, come January, when everything's getting ready to go again, and you have all those proving ground qualifiers starting again for 2023, that is more than enough time for maybe FlyQuest to decide, hey, some of those concubines that we were running, the scouting reports, like, maybe if we get enough interest and we get enough people that we are actually interested in, who knows? But yeah, I would say for summer, I wouldn't expect it anytime soon.
Interesting, because I feel like there's still a chance that they could put together an amateur team for summer, but it's like, first of all, there's no like amateur coach, right? Like lined up.
Yeah.
We don't have any staffing. I guess like you could say Loyota, but he's more, I think his position is basically like chief scout.
Yeah, he does far more analytical work and scouting reports than
right. So I gotta change the topic title here. Amateur Scouting Combine. So yeah, not a I think Roadroller is pointing out that I think you said concubine by accident.
Say concubine. Oh god.
And now
I terribly apologize.
We're not. We don't endorse that practice on this show. We would like this to be clear that this was a gaffe. Knox has completely left the screen. I did hear it. I kind of refused to acknowledge it, and then I just kind of moved on from there. And now Knox is laugh coughing, which is the best kind of laughing. Ooh, fanning himself. He did say that. But the scouting.
I apologize.
Combine. Yeah. Oh, yikes. Okay, interesting.
Anyway, go next. Just go next.
Yeah, let's move fast. But I'm still excited to see what comes out of this, and I think, by January 2023, I think it would be very cool to see an amateur team under the FlyQuest banner. This is not to say that it couldn't happen in the summer split, that there's an amateur team being run. But I would expect this to be more aimed towards next spring. Although, who knows? Maybe if we have the chance to have someone on the show in the future, we can ask them that specifically. Is there anything else that you particularly want to say about this announcement?
I mean, not that I'm like super on the inside of like insider knowledge or anything, but I haven't even heard of rumors about
Yeah.
the FlyQuest Amateur Squad. Whereas I have heard rumors about other LCS organizations creating one for this coming summer, but those are also still rumors.
Right. Yeah.
That's it though.
Yeah. So, who knows? But it's still really exciting. And I mean, for me, seeing the org continue to step out and branch out into different spaces, and I want to note that Nick said in his tweet, excited to add this to our annual catalog for our League of Legends program. So this is not something that they seem to intend to do just one time and call it a day. Seems like they are ready to keep this going regularly, which I think is pretty exciting. And hey, I mean, if this leads us to finding the next great NA solo queue talent and bringing him up and, having the next JoJo or Danny or, Philip on our team.
I mean, or even like Yuji?
Yeah.
Yuji.
Then I am all for it. So yeah, I'm pretty jazzed about it. All right, anything else you want to say here before we move on to Academy?
Only last thing I'll say is that this isn't even just for FlyQuest, like, because in that post it goes on to say like we're giving you feedback no matter what.
Yeah.
This just helps North America, period. So, props to you, FlyQuest. This is exactly what NA fans are going to be wanting to see. So
totally
good on you.
Yep. All right, Academy. I don't even know what to title this topic. Academy. Academy drops. Academy drops.
Academy top 6.
Academy drops out. Academy dropouts? No, I don't like that. That's mean.
Yeah.
All right. The Proving Grounds run comes to an end.
What a sad ending too.
It was so close. Best of 5 against Immortals Academy. Goes the distance. The full 5 games. It was a great series. I watched it. It was really exciting. Man, I have to say, Yuji and Spirax look so good. They look really, really good. And it's a shame that we have the talent that we have in the LCS right now, because boy, would I love to eventually see them play on the main team. I think there's a conversation there for sure eventually, but that comes later. But for now, I mean, again, the big standouts to me were basically Philip, Yuji, Spirax, and especially the whole top side just looked so good. And I think the player that stood out for me was Yuji. This guy.
I was going to say, it's just ironic because our bot lane's the veteran.
Yeah. I mean, this guy was just absolutely cracked. I don't think there's any other way to say it. Just absolutely cracked. I just want to pull up what the scoreboards were for him in the... All right, where's our... round 6 hasn't happened yet. Is it still rounds 3 to 4? I guess so.
The Immortals match, I think, was round 4.
Yeah, I got it. So in the 2 wins, he plays Nocturne, he plays Lee Sin. Both those games looked amazing. In the losses, he played Lee Sin, still looked really good in Game 1. Game 4, the Lee Sin was okay, but... and then the last game was rough, but we won't talk about that one. But he looked so freaking good on this Lee Sin. He looked really good on the Nocturne, which was a big surprise pick for me. Philip looked really good. Philip had such a good champion pool this series. Camille, Ornn, Sion, Gragas, Jace. Like, he pulled out a different champion every single game, and I love seeing that. That was fantastic for me. Was there anything... I mean, we've kind of been talking about the top side, but amongst that grouping, what in particular stood out to you for this series?
More than anything, just like Yuji. Yuji, what's the title they give that's not MVP, but like to the enemy team, like the one that lost? Is it rival? What they've been using lately?
Oh, I don't know what game you're referencing, but maybe, yeah.
I think it's something that was like getting started in the LCK. Like the rival award goes to like
Oh,
the
interesting.
best player on the losing team or whatever. Or I may be misremembering what game. My point being though is like
Yeah.
if I had to give a rival award, it's going to Yuji. He
Yeah.
was just a monster. Like even in
Yeah.
their losses, it just unbelievably good. So I'm super excited to continue to see where this guy continues to develop going into summer. This whole team really, it's just awesome to see what he's pulling off right now on these picks.
Yeah, no, it was it was super good, and I mean, this is after just one split of improvement,
Yeah.
and
One.
just one.
One.
That's just so cool to see. I mean, I remember when this spring season started. I mean, there were some and justifiable concerns about the level of play that we were seeing from the team. But something that I heard regularly as the season went on, saw just in the public sphere, on Twitter, on the streams, whatnot, from casters, pundits, what have you, is just the steady improvement and growth that we saw, especially from Yuji and Spirax as the split went on. And, like I alluded to, I don't think the conversation is, ready to be had right now. But maybe if we see consistent growth, consistent leveling up throughout summer as well, I'm starting to wonder, all right, where's the conversation about, the top jungle in LCS versus the top jungle in Academy, and who's ready to be where. So that's a very interesting conversation as we start to think about the narrative for summer and going into off season, because these are things you do have to start thinking about. And I think as we'll get into with LCS, clearly, like, the level of the LCS team right now is not like world's caliber.
No.
But if you are looking ahead to 2023, 2024, looking to build up a team kind of from the ground up, really, that is capable of making it to Worlds, you have to start thinking, okay, what do we have, and will it eventually be better than what we currently have?
I'd say we're on that track.
And just based on, like, and now you have to also ask, like, is this level of growth sustainable, right? Because, like, is it going to be the kind of growth that, okay, it's great right now, and then, it's going to plateau, right? Or is it going to be the kind of growth that we just, like, see insane leveling up over time? And so that's just a big narrative that I am definitely going to be watching out for in summer. Yeah, I mean, yeah, give me your thoughts on that.
I think, at this point, I'm just continuing to watch the team play grow more. I think at this point, Yuji has shown that with proper planning, he understands his pathing correctly, and he's more than shown that he has the hands. He will fight anyone, and he can absolutely come away the victor.
Yeah.
So, at least in terms of Yuji, like, I just want to continue to see him integrate more into the team and become more of a team player, while continuing to push his mechanical prowess, because I haven't watched enough of the other Academy teams, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say he's probably the most mechanical jungler in the LCS Academy currently right now.
Yeah.
So I think if I am wrong, it's not far off, right? So, I just wanted to continue to push his team play. If he does that, great. I think the only other thing I'm currently watching to see if he continues to improve even more is Philip. Because there's still room for improvement and growth, right? As good as he's looked this split, he has had a lot of improvement from where he was last split. And he's still, under technical terms, a rookie, right? He'll stop being a quote-unquote at least academy rookie, later this summer. So
Right.
if he continues on his track, I think, yeah, I'm just very excited to see how this team looks in the summer because I think they got their bearings now, and it's not going to be a ninth place seeding finish like they had in this proving grounds, or like ninth place seeding. It'll probably be way up more towards like fifth or fourth, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think for Phillip, basically by mid summer split, he'll have 1 year full of experience, which is super exciting. Yeah, and I'm just really excited to see how the academy team continues to improve. I think I really want to go back. I should have done this before the show, but I really want to go back and look at FlyQuest Academy's record in the second half of the round robin, and just see what the difference is. Because my gut tells me that it was just much better. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing how they do in the summer season, because now, and I think this is also something you can say about the LCS team, and we'll get into that in a moment, is that the expectations are higher, which is weird to say, it's like the expectations beforehand were like, ooh, don't know. I mean, we all called like bottom 3 LCS. We were all kind of saying like, don't really know anything about this academy team. But now both teams have shown a certain level, and now we have to kind of expect them to match that level, right? So that'll be very, very interesting to watch in the summer season, and so we'll just have to see how that goes. Any final thoughts on academy here?
So I just counted their back half season, and they went 8-10 on the back half.
Okay.
They only had 2 losses that were 0-2. They had 1 singular win against 100 Thieves Academy, which was a 2-0, and everything else was 1-1s.
Yeah.
So what is that? 1-6-2, I think, was the record on the back half. Which, compared to the front half, that's miles better.
Yeah. So definite improvement, and who knows? I mean, these were best of 2s. If it was a best of 3, who knows how those would have gone? So could be pretty good. All right. Are we ready to move on to LCS?
Let's do it.
All right. I got to come up with this like topic line. Evil wins out.
Today. Evil wins out.
Evil wins out today. Tough series, and I have a lot I could say about it, but I want to hear your overall thoughts first. And I just want you to kind of get the discourse rolling on this. I mean, what's your general sentiment on this series?
I mean, you saw it posted and pasted all over Twitter. You saw it pasted all over Reddit. You saw it everywhere in the Discord, especially. The Orianna picks were not it, right? Like, we could just get that out of the way now. The Orianna picks were just
what's
that
SpongeBob meme where he like does something? He's like, "Want to see me do it again?" It's like
he's a superhero. He's speedy.
Yeah. Want to see me do it again?
Want to see me touch that rock?
Yeah.
Want to see me do it again?
Yeah. Want to see me pick Orianna again? Oof. Yeah.
Yeah. Sharks. And you know what? Again, props to Sharks. He owned it on Twitter. Because I think he replied to Koi's post on Twitter, and he's like, "I'll have you pick Orianna again." Ha 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 ha. Like just joking, obviously sarcastic.
Yeah.
Really like he at least owns it. He understands he goofed, and so you know what? Respect for owning it. But yeah, the drafts were not at the series, right? I actually really thought our draft adaptation in Game 2 was fantastic, and you saw it in Game 2 up until the Jose de Yodo throw, but we can talk about that later. And then Game 3, the draft was terrible. Game 4, we improved, but it was just like you pick Orianna again, which was not going to help your team comp do anything, right? So, drafts aside, though, I actually thought this was a very competitive series, especially considering 2 out of the 3 games against EG earlier this year were absolute stomps, and we got rolled. So I was actually my expectations were met. I predicted a 1-3 loss, and I was asking for a competitive series, which I may be biased as a FlyQuest fan, but thought it was a competitive series. Like, was there any chance of us winning with those drafts? Not really, but the guys stayed in it to the best of their ability. Like, Jose had some great ganks top lane to get Kumo going. Kumo had an amazing series, probably one of the best series of games I've seen from this split outside of that Trinimir game against 100 Thieves. So there was actually lots of positives that I had coming out of the series, but I think a lot of the fans are, and rightfully so, they're upset. You want to see your team win. You want to see them go further into the tournament. But I guess, unfortunately, guys, I got to tell you, lower your expectations a little bit.
Well, and I think they're tunneling on. I think there's a lot of fans who are tunneling on one small aspect, and I think LCS, I think League of Legends esports fans do this across the board. Their team loses and they focus on one very small aspect of the loss that they see consistently, and they don't look at things as a whole, right? So everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, the Orianna pick. The Orianna. Why did we pick Orianna so many times?" I feel like it was more than just the Orianna pick. We saw things in this series that we have called out, and that I think the team knows are issues. Bad timing on engages, communication clearly being an issue at times. I think, one thing that was weird was, like, sometimes we got these early game leads, and then we just didn't know what to do with them. Or we were, going even, and, just couldn't really, make it click. Just getting caught out in weird spaces, getting picked off, and then all of a sudden we have to fight 5v4 or 5v3. So for me, it was a combination of a lot of things. Was picking Orianna 3 times and losing on it all 3 times. I think we lost on it all 3 times.
The only one we had was when he Tukui, funnily enough. And we can get into this later, but my feelings on Ari are beginning to wane a little bit. But we can talk about that later.
Right.
But the one win was on Ari.
Right. So was it completely the Orianna's fault? No. Did the Orianna hinder more than help? I would say yes. There's other control mage picks out there. There's the Syndra. There's other things that I feel are... I feel like I heard at one point in the series, I forget who was casting. It was Captain Flowers and someone else. But they basically said that Orianna is like the most basic mid laner you could play. It's just like the staple, like, can you play Orianna? And I feel like I wish there could have been something else that we could have pulled out there. So, just in terms of talking about the series, I don't think we're going to go in game by game. We're just going to kind of talk about it
generals
in big overviews. So here is one thought in particular that I want to have. I don't think Jose had a good series. I feel like he got, and of course he had the, unfortunate, roll of the dice in having to go up against ex-LEC MVP Inspired, who has not necessarily been playing up to LEC MVP standards, but is still an incredible top-tier jungler. And I feel like, from what I saw, Jose just got gapped to some extent.
I would overall agree with that.
The Volley Bear pick, while exciting for me to see, because I actually love Volley Bear as a pick, the Volley Bear was just not it for me. At least the performance on it. That was tough to see. I need to look and see what else he played.
He only played Volibear and Jarvan. He was
Yeah.
Jarvan the first 2 games and Volley the back 2.
And what's weird is, like, I actually liked his Jarvan a lot. I felt like, oh, this is actually pretty good. It was pretty interesting to me. I liked it in game 1. I really liked it in game 2. He looked really good on it. But then the Volibear performances were just like, I think the word is, and this is ironic because he played against Inspired, the performances were uninspiring. Like, they were not the performances that, I'm watching LCS, and then I want to go, and I watch Jose play Volibear, and I'm like, I want to go play Volibear now. It's like, you ever see someone play a champ, and you're like, I want to go play that champ in solo queue. This happens to me often when I see Trundle or Graves get picked up, and I'm like, I want to go play Trundle and Graves because I love playing those champions. I don't really want to go play Volibear now. And I just, I feel like Inspired just was able to kind of run some rings around him on that when Jose was on that pick. And I want to ask you, are we at a point now where we have to start, and I hate using this phrase, it's a bit of a meme phrase, but like, because there was the whole kerfuffle about, let's hold perks accountable, right? But where we have to kind of like hold Jose accountable to, okay, the level of play is not particularly inspiring on certain picks. Where's the aggression? Where's the flashiness that we were led to expect from you? Because I feel like it just was really showcased in this series, a level of passivity that is not particularly exciting.
Yeah, so I was actually kind of having this thought earlier today. Jose likes playing very mechanically heavy, like outplay you, outstyle you champions such as like Lee Sin and like the Nidalee and like I'm thinking back to like his days back in Latin America, right? Back when he was on Rainbow Seven, like even the Evelynn. But for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just the style that the team wants him to play right now. But a lot of the times that he goes for these, someone in Arzki in chat even says the Lilia. I don't know what it is if the team wants him to play this way, but like he plays very farm heavy in the early game. He doesn't go for these kind of, let me skip a camp, let me like get this early jungle timer or gank timer on one of the lanes really fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something I've noticed repeatedly throughout the split is like FlyQuest consistently gets punished on like a jungler skipping a camp. Like, let me just skip a camp. I'm there like 15 seconds earlier. Our laner's not expecting it, and they get ganked and die. And at that point, what ends up happening is Jose just tries to counter jungle, but also a lot of the time, like, because Tukui most of the time has lane push, right? So it allows him to go and counter jungle because he's safe to do so, and he takes away from the other jungler to do so. But you run into situations where you're facing JoJo, where Tukui doesn't win lane consistently against him, or Bjergsen, who usually holds him neutral in lane at the very least, and then, hey, lo and behold, Santorin or Inspired, they go on and they skip a jungle camp, they get a gank up on Philip, or they get a gank on her bot lane, and Jose wants to go counter jungle, and you can't, because they have mid lane prio. So, I don't know what needs to be changed about that, or what needs to be fixed. I don't know if it's... I don't want to call it cheese, because I think it's like a viable jungle strategy. I don't jungle, but it is a jungle strategy to skip a camp, get an early gank off before the gank timer, quote unquote, is supposed to hit for those lanes, and we're constantly getting punished by it. So does Jose need to start implementing that into his play? Does FlyQuest need to start making these decisions and call-outs, like saying, hey, skip your Krugs or skip your Raptors, whatever it may be, like gank this lane, like it's in prime optimal ganking position? Because there's been a couple times throughout the split, I'm like, you should just skip your camp here. Yeah. Go top. It's easy gank. Easy gank. Kumo's going to appreciate you for this because he's getting rolled right now by Impact or whoever it may be. And it doesn't happen. Jose goes for the farm angle.
Right.
So, long story short is, yes, I think Jose does need to be held accountable to your point. Granted, I think it's wholly Jose. No, I think it's kind of a FlyQuest decision overall. But at some point, I think Jose needs to go, hey, I need to skip this camp. I need to go for the gank. I need to get my laners ahead.
Yeah.
There's just a tad too much jungle farming in the early game for my liking. And right now, it's a bit of an early game meta, I think.
Yeah. Dang it. I had a point, and then
I talked too long. I'm sorry.
No, and then I got distracted by chat, and then I completely lost it. I remembered 2 points now. What I was going to say is that it feels like. Do you remember how Team Liquid, back when they did the whole 4-peat thing, a lot of their playstyle was they picked scaling, they played safe, they waited for their opponents to make mistakes because they knew they were just better, right? And sometimes it feels like the way we played this season was that, but to a lower level, where it was like, okay, we're going to play it safe, we're going to try to, win our lanes as best we can, just, solo win lane, and then we'll just, have the scaling and the late game team fighting, and we'll just win that way. The problem with that, and I don't know if you agree, but at least the problem with that for me is that the game has changed, in my opinion. The game is no longer just, so that was the old, the way that SKT used to dominate. And that was the way that Team Liquid dominated for 4 splits in a row. And then, other teams came on the scene, the Damwons, the Sunings of the world, IG, and showed that there's a different way to play League of Legends. And I think there's a fair amount of teams in LCS now that know that and are looking to play this different way. And I just don't think if we're going to have success in the future that this is the way that I think, we should be playing. So, to your point, I think we need to start seeing more early aggression out of Jose. I want him to come down and gank bot lane at 3 minutes. I want him to gank top at 3 or mid. Literally anywhere. Just gank somewhere pre 5 minutes, please. And, maybe part of it is due to, meta. Obviously last year, Hecarim Udyr was the featured matchup for a long time.
Those are completely farming junglers. They're not meant. You can do it, but at that point, I actually will call it a cheese because that's far out of what you're supposed to do for those champions.
But that's not necessarily the complete meta. Udyr is basically gone. Hecarim was good for a little bit, but we've seen Hecarim, Jarvan. There's been some Trundle. Heck, Yuji played Nocturne. Volibear's been there. Inspired played Graves and Xin Zhao. So, I feel like there's just more options for him to play. So, and this will be my final point on this before a different aspect of the conversation. It'll be super interesting for me to relate this back to the Academy discussion we had. It'll be super interesting for me to see if there's a level of improvement by Jose in summer compared to the level of improvement by Yuji in summer, and then let's just see what happens. And if it's to the point where it's like Yuji's, and I'm this is like a crutch word for me now, but Yuji's the more inspiring player, by the end of summer, maybe there's a conversation to be had there. So I think Yuji's very raw, but have we seen orgs take players from literally the amateur level and bring them all the way up to LCS with, decent success? Yes. Is Yuji one of those players? We don't know yet. So, we'll see.
I'm going to hinge my bets on no, but we can get into more details about that on a later cast.
I still think it's a good discussion to have. All right.
No, absolutely.
All right. here's the second part of my thoughts on this. Well, I do want to hit Kumo and Takui super fast before I get to this final part. Kumo, I thought, played pretty well for what he had to play with.
I thought he was amazing.
I thought he
had a great series.
I thought he actually had a great series. Kumo haters be damned. The solo on Impact. I mean, he had to play Ornn. He had to play the Ornn-Gwen matchup both ways. And he did really well on Gwen into Ornn. He did really well on the Scion into Gangplank, even though we lost that game. And then, he had to play Ornn into Gwen again, and that's just a rough matchup. And he didn't really have a lot of help in that game either. But I felt like he did really well. I felt like his Ornn engages were really good. And I was just really excited to see that from him. Takui, I thought, played pretty well for what he could have done. And I'm really, what's the word? I'm really giving this like a catch-22. That's not the right phrasing, but I'm really, categorize is not... It starts with C. But basically, for what he had to play with, playing Orianna 3 games... into, JoJo's Victor and Azir and Ahri I thought he did okay with what he had. His Ahri game looked amazing. I know that's funny for us to say. The Ahri game looked amazing. I see that eye roll. But...
You got me.
Thank you, Hunter Talkpod. Caveat. That's what I'm trying to... That's the word I'm looking for here. So, I felt like, laning-wise, it was rough. I felt like he did pretty okay in the team fights. But it's not enough for me to say that he had, a bad series. I don't think he was given the option, or the, he wasn't given a champion with the playmaking ability that we needed him to have. And this goes back to the Orianna conversation. But literally anything else, I feel like he could have done a lot more. And I know EG really focused him in bans. They banned, game 1, Vigar, Vex, Zoe. Next game they banned just the Vigar. But it was, and then he played the Ahri, and it was great. And then it was Ahri... Vigar, Corki were banned, and then in Game 4 again, Ahri, Vigar, Corki. So they really focused him heavy in the bans.
Which, props to EG. That's what you do.
Tuke
is the best player on this team.
Their draft was, in the ban phase at least, was correct. Focus Tuke. Great. But I just feel like there was something other than the Orianna. So yeah, give me what's your thoughts here on this, on Takui's performance?
It sucks, right? Because the one thing I've been saying all split long is the one person that he's lost lane to repeatedly has been JoJo, over and over and over again. It's been JoJo, and so part of my thoughts on it are the Orianna was the pick that was gonna secure him the best lane phase without completely losing the lane, which. I've seen a couple of people in chat, as well as on Twitter and elsewhere, saying, "Hey, just you got to do something to win the lane, right?
Yeah.
You got to do better than what you're getting." And I kind of think the Orianna was something that was actually just making him go stable in lane, is all that it was. I personally really wanted the Zoe to come out. I think there were multiple opportunities to make a poke comp. Especially in Game 3, and I guess it has something to do with comfort, right? If you're playing against JoJo, this guy's repeatedly beat you over and over again. I'm assuming he's even kind of beating him in scrims, especially on stage though. You just got to get put on the comfort. And as you yourself were saying earlier, Orianna is the most basic champion. It is very easy to find comfort on this champion. So I get it. I understand it. I think. And this kind of comes back to Jose a little bit, if you have a laner who is not able to survive in lane against their lane opponent, you've got to get your jungler to do something to help you out. In which case, I mean, Jose actually, I don't know if you know this, kind of peeking on Mark Z's stream, Jose has the highest mid jungle percentage out of any jungler in the league. He spends the most time around mid lane in the league, even though he doesn't necessarily do all that much. He's just there for Tuke, right?
Yeah.
But that kind of tells me, like, hey, you should probably do a little more, right? That, like, if Tuke is struggling still in lane and you're spending that much time around him and he's still kind of getting pushed in, like, maybe you should actually go into lane, shove him off, give him some space to breathe. I don't know. I need to go look at the VODs a little more closely, but yeah. So I'm kind of chalking the Orianna pick up to like its lane comfort thing, so that he doesn't get bashed in lane, and that way he can at least have something going on in mid to late game. But it's just not it.
Yeah. 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 Just not a. Yeah. I just think was not what we needed. We really needed him to step up in the series, and we just didn't get it. Okay, the final aspect, because we got to hit all the aspects of this team from the weekend. The bot lane. Oh man. I mean, why don't you start with the bot lane? Because it's just like, for me, besides, again, like, everyone looked okay. Here's the thing about Game 2, right, is, like, the stats look really good, right? But that game was still insane and a mess, and we basically barely won that. And then the lines, just for the other games, across the board, don't look, particularly great. Aphelios a couple games for Johnson, the Zeri, Zaya in Game 2, Afro got Yumi, Leona, Nautilus, Renata. Once again, by the way, the Renata, awful. Stop picking this champion. It's just not working for, like, literally any team.
It works in the melee. Like, if the enemy team's playing melee heavy comps, like, it can do wonders. Just not even for, like, the ult itself, although that is a big part of it. But, like, everyone's always clumped up, so you can get massive E's off. You can get Q's off, which can absolutely completely screw over someone's melee positioning, which is very vital for a melee champion, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, we picked it Game 4 into Gwen. Which has lots of immunity, right, with the fog. You have Viego, who dashes around everywhere and can become different champions, ranged or melee. Azir, who's ranged, Jinx, who's ranged, and then Tahm Kench, who, admittedly, like, it's okay into the Tahm Kench.
Yeah. Yeah, but the Tahm Kench isn't going to be, doing too much.
It's not the thing to worry about.
Yeah. So, yeah, I just think the support drafts, I would have just much rather seen... Nautilus was not banned in Game 4. I would have just much rather seen Aphelios Nautilus again. I just feel like it's better. Or even the Leona. Just things like that. In terms of the play, I just didn't think it was really... It didn't stand out to me. Unlike how Kumo stood out, I think the Zaya looked really good, and I wish we had played more Zaya during the season. Johnson Zaya looks good. But I just... The Zeri, again, not doing it for me. Even with the Yumi. And I get it, like, you speed up, you're fast, no one can catch you. But the Zeri just, like, continues to just not work for this team. And I really hope that she's, like, nerfed or something by summer so that we don't have to keep seeing her get picked. Or she's just buffed, crazy amounts, and then it's actually worth picking her again. So, I mean, what are your thoughts on... For me, just Johnson, outside of Game 2, where he looked really good on the positioning, his positioning for a lot of his Zaya ultis were fantastic. Several of his Zaya ultis really swung some team fights. but just the laning was not always there for me. Afro got caught out, a couple times. Again, like, this is a recurring theme that we've seen, is just him just kind of wandering around and getting picked, and then all of a sudden we're down a support before a crucial team fight. It's just, yeah, it was just frustrating to not to see that. So yeah, I mean, how were you feeling about the bot lane's play this weekend?
Hey, so there were actually multiple times where I thought Johnson tried his damnedest
Yeah.
and looked pretty good doing it, but the Aphelios was just not doing him any favors, right? I think mechanically, Johnson had a very, very good series. The only one that he really, like, I think a lot of people are probably a little sour on Johnson right now because, like, he messed up the bot lane play pretty badly in that lane phase, like, gave away first blood, right? But, like, the rest of the series, though, I actually think Johnson had a very good series. He was positioning pretty well. He was outputting lots of damage, but the thing is, like, game 3 and game 4, he is the sole damage on this FlyQuest team.
Right.
So, what you're having to put yourself into some very precarious positioning areas to try and output the damage that you need to put out, and it's just not going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Like, as much as I'm praising Johnson here, he's still not Uzi. He's not, like, able to weave in and out of the team fights on this slightly immobile champion unless you have Gale Force. Like, he's going to get caught out. He's going to die. And can I ask him to be Uzi? Sure. Is it a realistic request? No. So, yeah, I actually think Johnson had an okay series for what it's worth, but the Aphelios just wasn't doing him any favors.
Yeah.
Afro, on the other hand, was just kind of invisible for me. Like, I don't think he had any, like, severely into moments outside of, like, the game 4, but the whole game 4 was just kind of out the window anyway, so I'm not going to harp on it too much. But this is something me and Ricebox were talking a lot. Discord was just, like, mechanically, I don't think I've been very impressed with how Afro's looked this split. But you have to also consider, though, like, in multiple different interviews with Jose, with Tukui, and even Johnson, all of them have said he leads this team. He shot calls. He tells us where to be, what needs to get done. And clearly he is the in-game leader, and it works, right? Like, when the team actually manages to get ahead, like, they look good. But mechanically, though, and in-game, he's been lacking for me. Like, I need him to step up in-game more, even though his voice and his leadership has been, honestly, probably A or S tier.
Yeah.
I need A or S tier, though, gameplay as well. So
yeah.
Hopefully whatever it is, like, he can kind of, I don't know if he's having too much shot calling responsibility, and that's, like, kind of weighing down his actual gameplay itself. But hopefully come summer we see a little more from him, because if that's the case, this FlyQuest squad gets very scary if that's the case, I think.
Yeah. No, and I think we'll get into this next week. I think next week we'll be doing a bit more of a, hey, spring in retrospective, looking towards summer kind of episode once Curly's back. But just in terms of, where, we expected this team to be, where they ended up, hey, this was really good. And for me, I said on this show last week that I expected an 0-3, and that I would be very happy if we got even one game. And we did do that. And honestly, this series could have been, like, we probably could have won either game 1 or game 3, in my opinion. Either of those games should have been wins. I think game 4 was the only one that really, like, was just bad all the way throughout.
Game 1, that draft was unwinnable for game 3, though.
Yeah.
Even, I think it was 11 or 12 minutes before the game even ended, I was like, this isn't winnable.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Right.
EG would have to massively mess up if we
yeah.
win this.
But like I feel like we could have won game 1. Although I would have felt bad
Yeah.
because if we had won game 1 and game 2, then we probably end up getting reverse swept, and that just feels super bad. But I feel like game 1 could have been a dub. It was just a bad throw. So I think this team should be proud of where they ended up, especially in comparison to pundit and even our own expectations preseason. But like I said, and I do want to get into this more next week, this only raises the stakes for next split, right? This only causes us to say, all right, well, you made top 6. Now that's the baseline. You got to make top 6 again. And now we expect you to do better because we've, before it was like, all right, we expect bottom 3 with like a ceiling of top 6. But now the floor is top 6 and the ceiling is, now bumped up to top 4. So that's all that to say. The boys are out. 3-1 loss to EG, who goes on to play Cloud9. Real quick, before we move on to our final segment, I want no explanation. Give me your series predictions for Team Liquid 100 Thieves and for Cloud9 EG.
3-1 100 Thieves over TL, and 3-1 EG over Cloud9.
Ooh. All right, so I was going to go with... I think they're both going to be best of like full 5-game bangers. But I have 100 Thieves 3-2, and I have Cloud9 3-2. I think Cloud9, did what they had to do against Golden Guardians, and I think they looked a little bit better doing it. I think EG, if they actually were a better team, they would have beaten us harder. So I think Cloud9 looks like they've kind of fixed up some stuff, but I fully expect it to be TL Cloud9 on Saturday when we're there, and then I don't know who's playing 100 Thieves in the final. We'll just have to see. But would I be delightfully surprised to see EG in Houston? Absolutely, and I think that'd be fantastic.
Friend's also hoping for EG, so I'm also kind of holding out for him.
All right. Well, that is that. Like I said, we will do a bit more of a full retrospective on spring next week. That'll be next week's show, kind of discussing, how the whole season went, the big overall themes that we saw, and we'll get to that then. Final topic of the night. Genesis 8 approacheth. I cannot type on the stream tonight. There we go. Genesis 8 approacheth.
So should we do a quick explanation of what Genesis is for?
Yeah. So for anyone who has not been paying attention or just not seen it, one of the biggest Smash tournaments is coming up this coming weekend, April 15th to 17th. It is Genesis 8. I need to double check where it's located. Is it in Vegas?
Hold on, I got it pulled up. It is in...
No, it's in San Jose, California. My bad. So, San Jose, California. Pulling up the Smash.gg page there. Melee, I don't know what the... Melee singles, don't know what the exact schedule is.
I don't think it's out yet.
Yeah, it just says, starting on the 15th. But there are currently 1,550 entrants for Melee singles. So that's super exciting. FlyQuest's own Kodorin will be competing in Genesis 8 this weekend. He has been steadily ramping up for the last few months, just competing in various tournaments. I think he had a second place finish 2 weeks ago, and then this past week he participated in his own Training Mode Tuesdays tournament and took first place in that, beating SFAT. in the grand final for West Coast, I believe.
Yep.
So he's looking pretty on form right now, and that is really exciting to see. I'm excited to watch him play his Marth. I want to see who some of the I don't know who some of the big names are that are going to be in this tournament, but I mean it's basically all the big people.
I can do a quick list. I got to pull it up. We got Mango, Zane, IBDW, Plup, Leffen. Never mind. Am's pulled out. He's going to a wedding. Hungrybox, SFAT, Kadoran, obviously. Magi's going to be there. What other big names do I see? That's pretty much all the big names I recognize at any rate. So I feel like, and I'm a very casual fan. So if you're as like my level, you should probably recognize most of those names.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's probably maybe someone else who's maybe a little more dedicated fan, but for someone casual like me, I think those are like the big solid names that are going to be there.
Totally. Yeah, I'm super excited for this weekend to watch him play. I think I'm sure he expects basically top 8. I think that's probably his goal. I mean, I'm sure he wants to win the whole thing, but I think based on how he's been performing, it's going to be tough road for sure. But I feel like top 8 is definitely his goal, and I think I would be overjoyed to see him make top 8. I think that'd be super cool. I mean, this is a big tournament. This is what it's been building up to the last few months. It got postponed. I think it was originally supposed to be in either January or February. I forget when.
Yeah, it was.
But this is it. This is a big major. This is a major. I don't think this is on. I don't know if it's on the level of like Evo, but it's like this is huge. This is a huge tournament.
It's a tier 1. Like Evo was. I think Evo was bigger, but it's tier 1.
Yeah. So this is a tier 1 tournament, and I think it's really important to show him the support that he deserves. I think he looks really good just in the games that he has been playing. Like he just looks good. Like the games do not look like he's struggling or like he's barely pulling these matches out. He's like winning by a single stock or anything. Like he's doing really well. His mental looks really good. It seems like he's fixed the controller issues that were plaguing him.
They kept having
yeah, so I think it seems like the controller issues are a thing of the past. But I'm really excited to watch him this weekend. And yeah, it should be really good. Do you have anything else you want to say on that?
No. I think I'm gonna make it a point to try and actually ping people to go watch him whenever his matches are. So. Yeah. Fair warning, FlyQuest Discord. I'm sorry, but we need to get this man some attention and some love because it's his first major while under the FlyQuest brand, and we need to give him some love. We haven't been giving him enough love, I feel.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We gotta give the man more props. Okay. Any final topics that you want to hit before we close out the evening?
Solid start to the year.
Yeah,
we'll get more into depth about it next week, but. I personally am content, maybe not quite happy, but I am content with where we landed.
No, I think that's a good way to put it. I mean, I think I was like last night. I was like disappointed, obviously.
For sure.
Sad. I was like, dang, we really could have done something here. But. We did way better than how people expected. And I hope that gets recognized by the community, and I hope that gets recognized by pundits when they're putting together their summer power rankings. I know I for sure will be putting FlyQuest in my top 6 to start off my summer power rankings. All right. Well, that is everything. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this episode of Flight Check. We'll be back next week with a full 3-man show, assuming nothing crazy happens to any of us, like a car crash or something like that.
That would be awful.
That would be awful. That could never happen to anyone, especially not me. And but we'll be following LCS, as always, very closely this weekend. 2 banger matchups, TL 100 Thieves and Cloud9 Evil Geniuses. So be sure to follow us on Twitter for our reactions and thoughts. You can catch the show at Flight Check Crew, myself at Santos DB, Knox War at Knox War with 2 R's, and Curly at Curly_double Q_. Hey, make sure to hop into the Flight Check Discord as well, where all kinds of esports discussion otherwise takes place. If you missed any part of this episode, the VOD will be up on YouTube tonight or tomorrow morning. The audio version of this episode should go up on Spotify probably late tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon sometime. If you are listening to that and would like to catch the show live, we do broadcast the show every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/FlightCheckCrew. Knox, or rather Knox's cat, for audio listeners, Knox has changed the camera to his orange tabby, and he's left the show. So, Knox's cat, any final shout-outs or plugs before we wrap the evening up?
Yeah, tell Knox where to go buy my food. I'm out of wet cat food and I'm hungry.
Wow, what an awful owner. Sounds like Knox needs to get on that.
In all actuality, though, we're going to Houston in 2 weeks. You excited?
Dude, I'm super jazzed. I have to Venmo you for all the for the tickets and the Airbnb that we got. But holy moly, I'm going to my first LCS event, and I'm super excited. If any of you in the show, in the chat, or watching on YouTube or Spotify or whatever, are also going to be in Houston, hit us up. Slide into the DMs, let us know. We'd love to say hi. And get to know you a little bit, so be sure to do that, and we can figure something out. It would be super cool to meet you. For myself, super excited to go to Houston. Here's my tip of the week. When it is raining outside, don't hydroplane your car. I'm not going to explain anything further, but you can see a nice picture in the Flight Check Discord, in the general chat, of why you should not hydroplane your car when it is raining outside. And that's all I'll say about that. We'll be back next week to discuss the FlyQuest spring season in retrospective. So, for now, stay safe out there. Please do not forget to hit the head on the nail, and we'll see you all very, very soon. Adios.
Have a good one, guys, and in honor of Curly,
Peace, y'all.